Maybe you did consider joining Sim Update number 4 beta based on the positive news which is around there. Or maybe you're not sure. Or maybe you say, hey, I really don't want to join, right? Because I don't want to have more issues. Based on this, I thought, okay, wouldn't it be nice to create a video which helps you make that decision? I would say it's just my brain dump about how I approached it. So let's get started. But first, let's roll the intro. Sim update number 4 beta is already running for a while, and the question is, when is it ready for production? Because already multiple builds have been released, and I just want to give you a glance of what you can expect and what is fixed already, and where there's some work to do, which might also give you some, say, clear view of when to expect Sim update number 4, which I don't expect, to be honest, to be really soon. The core story is performance, right? Because everybody wants Sim update number 4 to be a fix for all those performance issues which most of you are experiencing in Flight Simulator 2024. And what this statement says, it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Because that's always the case. Because if you increase the performance, then it also might result in some instability. If we look at the performance fixes, they applied some secret sauce. The first one is, of course, the optimization of the main CPU thread, right? That's a holy grail fix for the primary CPU bottleneck in dense areas. You can, for example, try it out if you're flying to New York, or if you're flying above London very low, or maybe one of those busier airports. You can really see the sim having it very hard and the main CPU thread is completely red. Based on these optimizations, it has improved. Are we there yet? I don't think so, because there is far more to improve, but that is easier said than done. One of those optimizations which helped sometimes is the grass rendering, right? So they reduce the performance impact of the grass and vegetation rendering, which improves the performance for Flight Simulator 2024. If you're now flying over, I would say, dense areas with a lot of grass and vegetation, you won't see a lot of performance impact, and the latest build is, I would say, pretty stable. Besides that, of course, you've got those airports. Those airports are frame rate per second hungry, I should say. And also, especially those ground operations, all those cars driving around, I would say, refueling, etc. That really doesn't help, and say decreasing those number of items on the ground operations really, I would say, helps you. But of course, you want to make it as realistic as possible, and you don't want to remove them all. Luckily, there's also some performance optimizations coming for the airports, which will likely fix that issue. I tested it in the latest beta builds, and it works, I would say, much better compared to earlier on. In addition to that, there's of course the performance optimization for the HC and the scenery. Right, they reduce the CPU load from air traffic, live traffic, and scenery streaming, which will help you, say, testing or flying with the best performance as possible. Is there still a huge difference between streaming and downloading? I can't tell you yet because I didn't test it out yet, but keep an eye on my channel because I likely will post a video about that. In addition to that, there's of course the optimized road and boat traffic. Boat traffic is new to Flight Simulator 2024, but as you know, there are some issues with it, and to be honest, I sometimes see boats on, I would say, places where they definitely shouldn't be. But it looks like that they are looking at some performance fixes, so not, I would say, functionality fixes, so you'll still see those boats on the place where they shouldn't be, but maybe some fixes which, I would say, reduce the impact on the CPU. If we focus on the new features which they launched, there's the VRS Protection, right? The VRS, to explain it a little bit more, because I also needed to dive into that, is the Vortex Ring State Protection Assistance. This is a state which is very dangerous for helicopters. And occurs when a helicopter descends into its own downwash, causing a catastrophic loss of lift. And then you know what happens. it looks like that they added an option now which allows developers to, say, use the controls more effectively, but I'm not sure if it also will add some functionality which you can use while in the sim, right? Because I didn't see a control yet, although I do think that something might pop up soon. Then we've got the multiplayer modus. Multiplayer models are nice, right? Multiplaying is great. You see a lot of people doing community flights and you see them having fun, but it has a performance impact. So what they did now is they introduced two models, the high fidelity model and the simplified model. And that allows users to select which mode they want to use. So if you want to use it on a lower spec machine, you might want to change it to simplified. Whereas if you're having, I would say, a high spec machine, you can change it to high fidelity because you are not worried about your CPU performance, right? The CPU can handle it easily. So this one is also in correlation with that secret sauce which we discussed earlier. And finally, there's the developer tools. So the developer tools, one of those things which you hear a lot is those filled WASM gouges which are not working, and it's pretty hard to troubleshoot that. So for example, the A2A commands, I would say, also experience issues during the beta, and it looks like that Asobo is working on a solution together with the developers, but also giving them a little bit more insights. How that really works, I can't tell you because I am not a developer. Now if we look at the visual fixes, right? The big fixes report card visuals. First of all, there's the blurry sepia night lightning, which you can see. This has improved in sim update number 4. Look on the internet, there are several YouTube and let's say screenshots being shared and YouTube videos I should have completed, which will show you the improved performance for sim update number 4, having the DAR script and realistic views. I would say some developers, or some developers I should say, are improving the night lightning, but still then I would say it wasn't that nice. With these changes in sim update number 4, it has improved. So you can see that the night will become, let's say, more realistic, and then you will see the both the cities and surrounding land will now appear darker and more realistic. And that's also been confirmed by several people in the community. So it will change your nighttime IFR massively. Besides that, there's the floating jetways, which were floating, right, not connected to the aircraft. Those are also fixed. If we look at the systems, then there are a few important fixes. First of all, there's the max frame rate limiter, which was introduced. The max frame rate limiter was already there, but it didn't, I would say, enforce the cap correctly. At least it was 60 frames cap, and that resulted in 59 frames cap. And that was finally fixed in beta build 1.16.18.0. And that's really nice because now you can fly really with 60 frames per second max cap as you configured. In addition to that, there were some issues, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on that because it was a regression issue where there were some specific issues with some systems, but that one is luckily being fixed also. Then we've got the VR report regression. The VR report regression, right? VR report is still not where it should be. Although, if you look at some of the videos, it has improved a lot. But still, there are some issues like the show-stopping bug. The mouse cursor would disappear, making the cockpit unusable. Then there was also the calls. It could only occur when VR hand controls were paired and active. So there was a fix for that one now, which Asobo, I would say, mentioned. And luckily, this one should have resolved. However, this is not the full picture because there are still some user reporting issues, right, with performance and some other issues, and that's also, let's say, doesn't help. So it's not just this one bug, but there are multiple bugs like clouds showing up in the cockpit, permanent mouse trails across the screen, flickering rocks, etc. How it is in sim update number 4, based on some videos I saw from other YouTubers, I do think it has improved. But of course, I can't test it because I don't have it. I don't have that VR. Then the Addon gauntlet, WASM, right? The deep level WASM instability create a minefield for third-party developers, breaking many complex high-fidelity aircrafts. WASM is super complex. I think a lot of us don't understand it. Maybe you do, but it's super complex. And also, it looks like it's super hard to troubleshoot. And also, say fixing and restarting the WASM isn't possible due to some limitations. This is, I would say, a discussion which was ongoing in one of the developer webcasts, where Sobo said that they can fix some of the things, but likely not all of these items. So based on the current state, right, October 2025, here's a breakdown of what works and what doesn't work, right? So the PMG 777 broken, avionics dark, tablets won't load, and clear and do not use. Although I tested it, I think it's, say, kind of usable. Then we've got the Aerosoft CRG, it's also broken, and there you've got multiple crashes. The Phoenix A320, that's the one which is the go-to aircraft for beta tests. It's also called out in the community. This one works and it's largely compatible. Does it have some issues? Of course, but hey, that's always doing beta testing. And then we've got the A2A Comanche, which is just one of them. And also there are some fixes for that one. So do they work? It looks like, but are there also some other things which are not working? Well, this is just a grasp of the third-party add-ons, right? Because there are more. For example, the Rex Atmos Core, which is there to change the weather. That one has been released. I'd say it's working, but it still requires an update. And so if you're, I would say, considering participating in the beta from now on, and you love to fly in the Aerosoft CRG or the PMG aircrafts, you might consider to rethink and maybe even wait until the official version has been released. And that brings up the question, when it will be released? Well, that's the question. So, overview, blurry night lighting is fixed, floating jetways is being fixed. The WASM add-on crashes are still in progress, and the VR mouse cursor, there's an attempt to fix it, but based on reports, it doesn't look like to be completely fixed. But that's, let's say, based on the forum post, right? I can't confirm or deny if it's being fixed because A, I didn't have the VR headset, so I can't test this functionality. Maybe I'm considering to buying one somewhere in the near future, but still, let's say, doubting about it if it adds value for me. So if we analyze everything, right? The next question, of course, and maybe the last question is also, when will Sim update number 4 release? Well, I think it's a very good question, but also looking at all the things which are ongoing and the fixes which are being added to Sim update number 4 beta builds as we speak, the list is, I think, a little bit too long, because normally what you would see in beta builds that the list would decrease, and only in those last beta builds you will see a few items being fixed. And the last beta build, which has been released earlier this week, still contains, I would say, some serious fixes where I would say, hey, I'm not sure, I would say, if that will happen soonish. Which brings up the question, maybe you should join the beta. Maybe you should help testing it. Maybe you should help improving it. Maybe you want to test it simply, right? So I made some small, say, comparison when you should join and when you should not join. So when you should join is if you're flying 2D only, which simply means not virtual reality. If you're using the default aircraft or the Phoenix aircraft, and you might have, let's say, some CPU issues, and you definitely want to have the performance boost, then you might consider joining the beta. When should you not join? Well, if you're flying VFR, you might want to wait, although maybe in the latest beta there are some fixes, it might have improved. If you love to fly in the PMG and CRG aircrafts, then it also might be better to wait a while, because some people report stability issues. I did fly the PMG one this week several times and didn't experience any issues, but hey, that might be me. So if you don't want to experience more crashes, even if you might already experience crashes with these kind of things, then I would say it might be a little bit better to hold off. So with this, we're at the end of this video. In this video, I did a mind dump, right? Simply looking at what I figured out based on some investigation. And I hope it helps you making the decision, should I join the beta or shouldn't I join the beta? again here in this video. I hope you liked it. If you got questions, comments, or if you want to give feedback about what your experience with sim update number 4 beta is because you're already participating in it, feel free to post it in the comment box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back next time.